Buenas tardes a todo el mundo. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is Andres, and we are back in. Well, let me scoot back here so you guys can see me. We are back in here with another video, and today we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna talk, and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion and some facts about the banking here on the island. So if you're thinking about moving to Puerto Rico, whether it's temporary or permanent, I'm gonna go over some of the similarities, some of the differences, and give you my opinion on how the banking is here on the island, and is it worth transitioning your finances from the States to Puerto Rico. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so we're gonna start with a little history. So give you a little bit of my history. My career has been working in the banking industry. I've been working in the banking industry over 10 years now. And when me and my family decided to transition to Puerto Rico, at the beginning, we had to make that decision. Where are we going to move our finances from the States and bring them to Puerto Rico, or leave them in the States? And at first, we had to figure out what it was. We had no idea what it was like to bank here. We read a lot of reviews from other people who were living here, some great, some not so great. But we really needed to do our own research, our own investigations. And we came to find out that banking here is very similar to banking in the States. Number one, you have the same products. Checking, savings, credit cards, investments, you name it, what you have in the States, you can find here in Puerto Rico. Second, online banking. Online banking, at least for me, is huge. I run my finance, not even through a laptop, through the app on my phone. I run my finances through that. So having online banking is critical to me in the way I manage my finances. And that was something that I did see. Every institution had online banking. Some had their own apps, some didn't, but they at least had online banking. The everyday to day usage of accounts, swiping cards, ATMs, taking cash out, making deposits, all that stuff, that's the same. You're gonna get that in the same way you have in the States, you have it here. But there are some challenges with banking here on the island. There are some differences, and there are some things that can make or could change your mind if you decide you want to move your finances from the States to Puerto Rico here. Number one, one of the biggest differences is that Puerto Rico is listed, at least in banking terms. So banking has a tunnel vision, okay? Banking sees Puerto Rico as an international country. So if you're in the US and you're trying to move money here, whether it's by wire or by check, keep in mind it's gonna be in an international process. So if you deposit a US check into a Puerto Rico bank, it may take a little longer. And vice versa, you deposit a Puerto Rico check in a U.S. bank, it could take longer. Wire transfers would cost more money. Wire transfers are something that most people pay for, and if you do, well, you're going to be paying international rates. Knowing that, you have to think about, what is your day-to-day month, during the month, do you write a lot of checks? Do you do a lot of wire transfers? Does that affect the way you do your banking? For me, it doesn't. For me, I don't write checks. I don't wire transfer. So for me, it's not a big deal. But for you all, it might be a big deal. Maybe you do a lot of that every month. So you have to keep that in mind. The second is a difference. It kind of was one of the biggest challenges I faced with the banking when we first moved here. The online banking. I know I said online banking is a similarity, and it is. They have online banking, but the online banking is so basic compared to what we're used to in the States. Online banking in the States is very sophisticated. You can do pretty much anything and everything from the app on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. Everything from opening an account to moving money, paying bills, taking advantage of rewards, sending money to other people, you name it, you can do it on online banking. That wasn't the case here. We tried out a couple different online bankings, and some had a few things. You can move money. Recently, a few banks started doing the check deposit with the phones. It's just archaic. It's in its infant stage still. And that was something that really bothered me at the beginning, because online banking for me is how I do things. Here there's branches everywhere. Depending, if you go to a branch, you can get everything done there. But I don't go to the branch. I work during the day. I don't want to spend my time going to the branch. So online banking for me was critical to have, and unfortunately, the banks here, for the most part, are just, it's inadequate for me. It's inadequate, the stuff that you can do from online, and that was a big issue for me when we first came here. The third issue I had, and I experienced it personally, I've heard a lot of people giving different examples of this happening, is consistent information. Now, what do I mean by consistent information? This is what I mean. If I go to branch A and I ask, hey, what's this? What's the cost of this? How do I do, or what's the process of completing this? They give me an answer. And whether I go to another person, that same branch, or I go to a different branch, the information should be the same. The processes should be the same. And I found out myself that wasn't the case. When we first got here, I went to my experience was with this particular issue was First Bank. First Bank Puerto Rico, I went to 3 different branches to figure out what is the process, what do I need to get an account open. First Bank, the first branch I went to happened to be on another side part of the island where I don't live. So I just happened to stop in, asked the information. They gave me what I needed, and I said, great, thank you. I took that same information, went to another First Bank closer to my house. They told me, well, no, you also need this and this and this. And I'm just like, well, why didn't they tell me that over there? Consistency in the information is key. When I have a client who comes to me, when I'm working in the same industry, the information I give them is the information somebody else that does the same job that I do gives them is going to be the same. Why? Because just the way the company has it set up, that's the way banking is. It shouldn't matter which branch you go to or who you talk to get, different answer. How do we know which one is right? We don't know that. So consistency of the information was definitely a downer for me. If you are a cash-heavy individual, meaning, let's say you get paid in cash, or maybe you sell some side products and you only take cash, or whatever the case might be. If you are a person that deposits and withdraws a lot of cash, then obviously having a bank account on the island is going to be key for you. So that's something that you got to keep in mind. If you are cash heavy, I definitely suggest figuring out, visiting the major banks and finding an account that works best for you, depending on how much money you normally take in and deposit and all that good stuff. If you decide you want to open an account, which bank do you go with? Top 3 of the major banks here on the island is Banco Popular, Oriental, and First Bank Puerto Rico. They all have plenty of branches. They all have all of the products. You really just have to see, the combination of cost and locations in your area, which one works best for you. So we've gone over the similarities, gone over some differences. Now, knowing that, and knowing what I know in banking, did we transfer our finances and move everything from the States to Puerto Rico? We did not. At the end of the day, for us, we are not cash heavy. We rarely have cash on us. We tried. I tried to open a couple, accounts a couple times. I went to one Banco Popular, tried to open an account, brought them what they asked for. They were having issues. I left. First Bank, I went to 3 of them. Still had issues. It got to a point where it wasn't worth it to me. It wasn't worth leaving the convenience and my relationships that I have in the United States for starting new relationships here with some banks here. I remember when we were first doing some research, we heard horror stories. People losing money, checks not being deposited. A couple people, at least on the mortgage side, were losing homes because stuff wasn't getting processed in time. It's scary. You know, you put your money, your hard-earned money in there, and you think, wow, you know, reading stories from other individuals, it doesn't really make you feel any more confident or comfortable with these institutions. We decided not to do it. I'm not going to tell you not to, or you should. You have to make that decision on your own. What I will tell you is this: research, research, research. Okay? Don't just take the reviews for it, because you're always going to find good and bad reviews for every bank, in the States included. You always find good and bad. But if you are thinking about transitioning your finances from the States to Puerto Rico, make sure you do your research. Look at where you're going to be staying. Look at the cost. Look at how you do your day-to-day transactions, and with the products and the systems that particular institution that you choose, the solutions and the process that they have in place, does it work for you? And if it does, great. What I can tell you is down here, you're not going to have any problem using U.S. credit cards, U.S. debit cards. That's my opinion on the banking here in Puerto Rico. What do you guys think? Are you someone who's thinking about moving to Puerto Rico and is debating on whether or not they want to transition from the U.S. banks to here? Did you transition? Did you open a Puerto Rico account? How was the experience for you? I definitely would love to be able to hear from some other individuals who are, you know, who either decided not to open accounts or did open accounts and moved everything from the States. Leave a comment below and let me know how it went. I hope everything went well, but you know, I would love to hear your stories. If you guys have any questions, if it's something that I didn't cover, I know this was a brief video and we just went over some general similarities and differences, but if you have a specific question that you want to cover and you want me to answer, make sure you leave it down below again. And if this video was helpful, I really appreciate if you guys can hit that like button. And of course, as always, if you want to see more content here from Puerto Rico, make sure you guys subscribe. My name's Andres.